Hi there, welcome to Bramble Bear Records. Yes, of course. Yes, I remember you. How could I forget? How did you find everything? Oh, great. Oh, no problem, no problem. I'm just pleased I could have been of help, and I'm pleased that you liked some of the stuff that I recommended for you. Alright, you like that one in particular? Well, that is a good choice. I must say I am quite partial to that myself. Oh really? Oh, and they liked it too. See, that's the wonderful thing about music and working here, is that you can kind of let people know about particular bands and artists, and then they'll go away, and if they like them they'll tell other people, and then they'll let other people know, and it kind of spreads like that through word of mouth. Yeah, a lot of it is kind of from the internet now. That plays a big part in how artists get recognised, but I still like the old-fashioned way as well. Yeah, me too. Anyway, how can I help you today? Okay. Yeah, certainly. Well, it's been a very busy month. It always is around the summertime. New releases are always a little bit slow at the start of the year, but we're in peak season, as it were, now. So this month we've had a lot of good stuff come out this month. Yeah, so you want me to recommend you some stuff? That's fine. That is absolutely fine. Well, we have compiled a list. Everybody that works here has kind of thrown in some ideas, but that's something that we're working on as far as store promotion, but I can certainly recommend you some stuff that I particularly enjoyed this month. Yeah, and what I'll do is, just like last time, is I will load up some sample tracks into the listening station. Yeah, you know where it is, of course. Yeah, it's not hard to find. How did you find that, by the way? Yeah, you liked it. Me too. I think it's pretty good. Okay. Right. Well, what I'll do is, just like last time, then, as I said, I'll load some samples up. I'll just open up a playlist for you before we start, and that way I can just pop them in there for you, and you can go over there and just take your time and listen at your leisure, as it were. Okay, so the first record I have for you under May recommendations is a debut album from an artist called Daughn Gibson, who used to be a drummer for another band whose name actually escapes me at the minute, but this is his first solo record, and it's called All Hell, and it is probably one of the most unique records I'm going to recommend you, because it blends two very different genres. There is a very strong country influence on this record, the likes in particular of Johnny Cash. You can really hear it in Gibson's vocal. It's a very manly vocal, kind of like how you would expect the Marlboro cowboy to sound if he sang, with some very sort of rustic, deeply steeped Americana country sounds, a lot of acoustic guitars, but with that he's blended it against like experimental electronic and a lot of dub sounds, a lot of sort of dark, moody dub bits and pieces. And it's weird because you wouldn't imagine on paper that it would go, but it actually blends together really, really nicely, and it's a strange record, and it's definitely something I think will be divisive. You may like it, you might not like it, but I think he deserves points for unique experimentation at least, and its kind of more bizarre, quirky aspects is definitely one of the things that brought me back time and time again earlier this month with that record. Yeah. Well, as I say, you might like it, you might not. It's a bit of a Marmite album, as they say, but I've just loaded a couple of tracks in there for you to check out, and of course you can be the judge yourself. Okay, the second album I'm going to recommend for you from this month is from a group called ExitMusic, who named themselves after, of course, the Radiohead song, and their album is called Passage. ExitMusic are a husband and wife duo who sing and provide the guitar sections for the record, and they have introduced other band members since the projects kind of took off, introducing more of an electronic, almost trip-hop sound to it. This record is just really purely emotional from the start to the end. So if you're looking for something very powerful and something very epic in the true sense of the word, this is definitely something I would recommend. It is very emotional and it's very strong and very bold, but ultimately it's really beautiful. And there's some just really strange vocals at points, but they come across as just really emotive, and they cut very deeply. It's a very, very emotional record, like I said. So, you know, it doesn't make for the easiest of listening, but it is, in my estimation, definitely worth a listen. So I will put a couple of tracks in there for you from that album as well. Okay. Recommendation number 3 is brand new from a returning band called Best Coast. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. No, not to worry. They are a surf rock, indie pop kind of band. Very sunny disposition. It's perfect music for days like today, where it's nice and sunny. And it really has the epitome of summer to it. Lyrics are straightforward, sometimes a little too straightforward, but I think you can be kind of forgiving because the instrumentation and just the way it's crafted is just really nice and just really catchy as anything you'll find, certainly for a while. It's just, I don't know, there's just something really sweet and really kind of almost addictive to Best Coast. The record is called The Only Place, and it's their sophomore album. And it really, for me at least, it's a step up from their last album, which I really liked a lot. But it feels like they're moving up in terms of instrumentation and arrangements, and it's just a really lovely, joyful record. It's kind of like the opposite to ExitMusic's, in the sense that with ExitMusic's album Passage, it's not something you can throw on at any time of the day or any mood, whereas Best Coast and The Only Place is definitely something that you can throw on at any time. I like it a lot. So I will put a couple of tracks in there on your playlist as well. Number 4 is going to be the self-titled debut from a band called OFF, and these guys are like a supergroup for old school hardcore punk, especially from the West Coast. You've got members of Circle Jerks, Black Flag, Red Cross, who were all sort of icons of LA punk back in the day, and these are all guys that have lived, breathed and just existed that lifestyle and that genre for so many years, coming together to form this little project, and it is just straight up unadulterated sort of LA hardcore punk, which again is some people's kind of cup of tea and other people don't really take to it, but you know, you can always give it a go, and if you don't like it, you can always skip it, I suppose. But it's a record, because I'm a punk enthusiast. I'm just it's definitely a genre that kind of helped me define my music taste when I was younger. I was into punk big time when I was younger, and I still have a soft spot for it. So when I hear it at this sort of level of authenticity, it's just it's pleasing to the ears and to the heart. Not to get too sentimental on you. Okay, so got some off in there for you as well. Keeping on the sort of more noisy end of the spectrum, the next album I'm going to recommend for you is another debut album from an Australian band called DZ Deathrays. The record, I know, it's quite a fun name. Yeah. It kind of has an almost 50s science fiction B-movie appeal to it. I don't know, but they're an Australian duo who make like alternative rock or noise rock. Some may brand it as. It is very sort of fast and loud and punchy, but they do some really interesting things. There's some really kind of dirty, funky bass that kind of sounds almost toxic. And here they kind of have some really interesting grooves to their sound, as well as just being, you know, banging out razor sharp riffs. I don't know how else to explain these guys other than that. Again, this is another really fun record. I would recommend this if you're having like a house party and you want like a certain level of energy. This is what this album brings. It brings energy by the truckload, and it just keeps sort of self-perpetuating throughout. It's just a really fun, upbeat record that I really like. So again, it might be to your liking, I don't know, but I will put a couple of tracks in there just for you to give it a try. Okay, album number 6 is from a band called Beach House, and this is their new record, Bloom. I think this is album number 5 from these guys, and this is just straight up very dreamy, very ethereal sounding guitar bass pop. Again, it's kind of catchy, but it's more dense, and it kind of has more layering and more of a sort of fuller sound than stuff like Best Coast, whereas Best Coast is very sort of light and nimble, and all of this is quite light as well. It kind of feels more dreamy, it feels more atmospheric, it feels like it has more depth to it. Some people say that this record is kind of an extension of what they've done before, and it is almost. So I mean, if you like this record, then you'll definitely want to check out their previous stuff, because they do tend to keep within the same sort of wheelhouse, but it's good. I can't knock it. It might sound similar, but it is still good. Again, another sort of great act for summertime, whatever, as the name might allude to. Okay, I recommend you two albums which I've listened to only recently, but I've liked a lot. Two very different records. The first is from an indie rock group from New York and Philadelphia called the Walkmen, who have been around for 10 years this year, I believe. And this is album number 7, I think. It's called Heaven, you know, aptly titled, 7th Heaven. And this is just a very, very beautiful, solid record. Lots of sort of glimmering guitars, a good mix actually of sounds and pacing, from sort of up-tempo, upbeat indie rock to a more sort of gentile, folksy sound. It's kind of a bit more balanced in that sense, but the real catch with the Walkmen is the vocals. Their frontman, Hamilton Leithauser, he has this, I don't even know how to describe it, it's just very evolving, and it's very emotive, and it's very, very distinct. Like, you could pick his voice out of a crowd easily. and his vocals really are just like the icing on the cake for this record, and as they always are. But these guys are just really consistently good. Again, if you like this album, you'll definitely want to check out other stuff by the Walkmen. Okay, so that's a couple of tracks over at the listening station from Heaven by the Walkmen for you. And last album recommendation I've got for you is the last album I actually listened to, strangely enough, but it's something that just had an instant appeal to me. It's from it's our only hip hop album in the recommendation actually, and it's from a MC called LP, who is an MC within the realm of sort of alternative hip hop. The album is called Cancer for Cure, and he is a very sort of strange, alternative, somewhat left field rapper. He uses a lot of interesting reference points, a lot of science fiction references, fantasy, kind of social issues, without using the word conscious. He is somebody that kind of addresses social issues within his work, and the music is just kind of full on. There's a lot of electronic stuff thrown into the mix here, and it's just kind of a big sort of patchwork quilt of big sounds, and just another fun record. And I mean, this might divide you because you might not really be into hip hop, I don't know, but this is definitely a hip hop album I would recommend if you're not into hip hop, because it's not the kind of hip hop people who aren't into hip hop expect, if that makes any sense. I'm probably not doing any favours, but this is, in short, this is a record that I really like. And this is my first actual listen to LP. So, seeing as I liked it, I'm definitely going to be checking out more. I can't recommend any other albums of his, as I said, because it's my first album of his that I've heard in full, but when I get my head around some more stuff, if you like it, I'll be able to point you in the right direction, hopefully. Okay, so there we go, there's some tracks off LP's Cancer for Cure for you, and if you give me just a second, I'll just put that playlist online at the listening station for you. There we go. Yep, so that's everything, that's all sorted for you. If you like what you hear, just take this card here and just fill out the artist and the album title and bring it back to me, and I will go and fetch those records for you. And we can sort it out from there, but other than that, I'll be listening, and I hope you find some more stuff that you like. Okay, thanks now.